How are you? Doing well, thank you. Good. Been busy?
Oh, yeah.
Keeping up with all this stuff?
Very busy this last month. More than I'm used to.
Hey, Coach, how are you doing?
How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you. How's everything going? Good? Yeah.
We're excited about football.
You too.
Believe me, I'm already ready for September.
We got a ways to go till then.
All right, well, happy signing day, everybody. We're going to get started with an opening statement from Coach Tedford, and then we'll open it up to the floor for questions.
All right, great to see everyone. Signing day, or kind of wrapping up a class, is a very exciting time. A lot of hard work and energy goes into it, and you can imagine as a coaching transition happens, not only are you hiring a new coaching staff, you're evaluating your own personnel as well as all the recruits. And so we've been working really, really hard. The staff has done a great job. Albert Garcia and our recruiting department made this transition seamless, had a great deal of knowledge with who we were recruiting, and so he was very helpful through that. And we feel really good about wrapping it up today. You know, it's always kind of a little bit of a different situation because you have early signing date, which we signed some guys then, and then signed some more today. And always the goal when you go out to recruit is to make sure that you can find not just great football players, but great people. Try to find kids that fit our program, fit the Bulldog brand, and we feel like we did that. You know, the recruiting calendar makes things a little bit challenging because dead period was all the way up till January 14th. And then you're trying to get in homes and do that type of thing. So, but we feel really good about them. We had quite a few official visits here, and it's always nice to showcase the pride and tradition of Bulldog football. And so we're excited about the future. So any questions?
Coach, when looking at the entire class from the early signing period to now, there's a heavy concentration on the offensive and defensive lines.
Yes.
Do you expect that we're going to see an impact of that this fall, or is that going to be a longer-term situation?
Well, we'll have to see. It's always, you know, you don't really know until they get here and how people make the transition from whether it be a high school athlete or a junior college athlete. We have some grad transfers, and so you really recruit those guys with the expectation that they're going to make an immediate impact. Johnny Hudson on the defensive line, I think, you know, is a kid who brings a lot to the table here that should be a guy that can compete right away. Anthony LaFrance is another junior college offensive lineman. Daniel Tomololo, he's another one who, when we recruit junior college players, they're really, the intent is for them to come in and compete right away. And, you know, we have some graduate transfers, guys like Nico Remigio, who transferred from Cal, who is a very exciting player, will be kind of an all-purpose guy for us as far as not just a receiver, but somebody that can do stuff from the backfield. You got Raymond Scott, a linebacker transfer from USC, who we're very excited about. Cameron Lockridge is a corner that came from the University of Hawaii. We have a young man, another graduate transfer, in Nick Diambra, who is a specialist. He's a long snapper. With Westbury graduating, that's a need there for sure. We always joke that we don't hold the bus for anyone when it's time to go to a game except for the long snapper. So that's a really critical get for us. You know, and then so I think that's all of those guys. Another mid-year guy that's here that's in school now is Veltre Jefferson, local talent, tight end. So we're excited to have him in the fold as well. And yeah, I think we have a good balance of young kids and some older kids, whether they be junior college transfers or graduate transfers or they were in the portal.
Last thing for me, did you notice a difference this time around compared to when you took the job the last time? as far as the pitch you're making or how Fresno State is perceived and received by these potential Bulldogs?
Yes, I do. I think when you're recruiting off of a one-win team, which we did in 2017, obviously it's makes your job a little bit easier, knowing that the program has won 10 games, 3 out of the last 5 years, and one of those years was a COVID year, so it wasn't even a full year. So, I think over the last 5 years, the product of Fresno State and the identity of Fresno State has been very positive, and that always helps in recruiting.
Coach, the February signing days of the past few years has not featured a list of recruits this long, and of course, as mentioned, the change plays into that. But the dynamics of the portal, of maybe junior college recruits being overlooked, just how did the pool of talent look this month compared to what it's been the last few years you were here?
Yeah, it's interesting because over the last 2 years, and I think the portal's so new that it was a learning process for me, for sure. But going through the portal and then spinning back to the junior college, I do feel like there was some really quality junior college players that were out there, because a lot of people, I think, maybe have got caught up on the portal. And so I think the pool of players after early signing date going into this, and then it depends on what your needs are too, right? I mean, do you have a broad need of numbers? And we did. There was a bigger pool because of junior college players who I think some were overlooked, quite honestly, and then obviously some portal players that you go after really solely based on need.
You've got a quarterback, Joshua Wood. Could you share some about him and what he could bring to this program?
Yeah, Joshua Wood from Washington, he's a winner. He didn't lose a game in high school. They went 14-0, state champions last year. Really brings a great skill set of not just being able to throw the football, but is very athletic and can do a lot with his legs. Tremendous person, great kid, great team leader, great family. It was really a pleasure to get to know him, and we're very excited about having him in the fold. But I think any time you can get a dual athlete like that, with this day and age of how offense is played, with RPO game and the running and the quarterback run game, is really important, and he brings a great skill set to our program.
I was curious, is the defensive base, is there a plan that's set there, and did that impact kind of what your needs were and some roles you needed to fill on the defensive side? As far as maybe
say the first part of that again.
Yeah, the defensive scheme going from
the scheme, the defensive scheme. Yeah, there were. Football is so specialized these days as far as pass rushers, third down pass rushers, run stoppers, A-gap pluggers, all those type of things. But really, it's based on great football players and their skill set. There's one thing that I don't think is ever going to go away, and that's guys that can run, right? And so we base a lot of things on guys that can run. And, we have a lot of really good young players here. This is a young football team that we have in the building right now. And, but schematically, right now, we're doing that whole evaluation on how that's going to fit. Obviously, we take our scheme that we're planning on running, and you want to make sure that your personnel fits to that the best way it can. To be real honest with you, we don't know what we have here right now. That's what spring football is going to be about. It's what I had a team meeting about this morning, about this is an evaluation period for all of us, right? For them to see how they're going to fit into the schematics that we're going to run in all phases of our game. Offense, defense, and special teams. So as we move to that and we see where those skill players are, take a kid like Aaron Mosby, for instance. Man, if Aaron Mosby had another year, how great would that be, right? That he went from safety to linebacker to defensive end, And so how many of these kids, because they're young, how can they grow into that? What are their body? We're still learning all this, right? They just been back. First day of school was last week, right? So first workout was last Monday. So we're still learning our kids what their growth potential is, who can grow into those type of positions and be like an Aaron Mosby, who goes from safety to linebacker, who goes from corner to safety, who plays. There's a lot of mix and match things that go on. So this spring will be really important to evaluate who our guys are here and then plug everybody else in.
And lastly for me, a lot of your peers in the Mountain West that went through coaching changes lost significant amounts of players to the portal. How equally important is roster retainment as it is to this list of guys that you have here?
Yeah, well, I think we had a little bit of advantage on that because I think anywhere you look through the country, if there was a coaching change, there was probably a significant number of players that went into the portal. We really didn't have anyone until someone graduated and didn't sign up for graduate school soon enough. So we really held on to most of our players, but I think the advantage we had was I've probably recruited 80% of the kids on this team in the first place. So they understand the environment, they understand the culture. I think they have a great deal of trust level in what the program's about because we've spent time together. I don't know if any other program has had that luxury of having a older coach come back. Can I say former? Do I have to use older? How about just former?
Hey, Coach. Another, new element to this period for you is the name, image, and likeness deals. And you talked in your opening statement about getting the right kind of Bulldogs. But I'm curious if that kind of ever came up with some of the guys you're targeting. Maybe not in high school, but some of those junior college or transfer.
Not really. It's part of it to make sure that we understand that our head's not buried in the sand, that name, image, and likeness is in the landscape of college football, and that we will engage in it. But that wasn't a difference maker or a point of difference that I don't think either brought someone here or didn't bring someone here. Yes, it's you need to make sure they understand that we will be pursuing NIL. And at what levels, that's another thing that's really, really new, right? So I think everybody's still figuring that out. So, but yes, we will be involved in that. We have in our athletic department as a whole, we're going to be educated around name, image, and likeness. And, some of our kids are already involved in that, but we'll continue to move forward with it.
Coach, looking at the list of new Bulldogs, I'm noticing a lot of California. Was that really an emphasis this recruiting period to target the state of California as opposed to previous recruiting classes?
That's our lifeline. I mean, that's where it is. We start with the Valley. We want to make sure that we own the Valley, that we saturate the Valley, from Sacramento to Bakersfield. And that's where our number one priority is. And then from there, obviously, there's a lot of kids in California, right? And so to utilize our resources and spend our time properly to make sure that we have that covered. There's a lot of positives to it, that families and friends can get here, and that's what's great about Fresno. You can being in the Central Valley, you can recruit the Bay Area, you can recruit Southern California, and they can all, be here within 3 hours, and it becomes a family affair at that point. I think as far as our tradition is concerned, obviously in California, we've been very successful, beating UCLA the last 2 times we've played them. I mean, there's a name brand here that I think people in California understand. Not that we're only going to be California, but most of our kids are probably most always are going to be from California.
Coach, speaking of one of those kids from California, you mentioned him right here in the Valley, Veltre Jefferson. He was, I remember catching up with him in high school when he had an offer from USC at that point, in Utah at one point. And just can you tell me the story of how he ended up as a Bulldog and what you see for him, position-wise, and what he could bring to the program? Yeah, well, you watch him on film, he's a phenomenal football player. It's kind of hard with a guy that is skilled and athletic and talented as he is on where you're going to play him, because he was a great linebacker in high school. He's playing tight end here for us. He's a great-looking young man. Today was our first day on the field with him, watching him run and condition, and he's very impressive. He wants to be here. He's excited. He's been out of football for a year or two now, so I think he's very motivated to be here. And I've been, so far really impressed with him, and it's going to be a big spring. I think he has the body type to be a guy who can really help us early because he's a big physical guy. And when we're looking at how people are going to play, if they're going to play early, it's really about mental, physical, and emotional maturity. Right? Can they absorb? Can they learn the things that we're doing? At this level, and then physically, are they put together well enough to be able to withstand the competition and the level of impact and things that go on, which he is. And then emotionally, are they able, if something doesn't happen right, they get beat on something here or there, you want to make sure you're not crushing someone's confidence. But I think Veltre brings the maturity in all three of those levels that should be able to contribute for us pretty quick.
I remember talking with you when you got hired as a former coach the first time. And you mentioned, I think, that you had visited double-digit schools within the first couple days around the Valley. Can you give me an idea of just what those first few days on the recruiting trail around here, how busy you were, how many schools you might have visited around the Valley?
Well, I didn't do many this time because I'd already done that, really. The first time I came, I hadn't been here for a long, long time, so I felt it was really important. So personally, I did not do it. We had our assistants do that. And because the timelines were so tight, with the dead period being done on the 14th of January, and then usually you have a recruiting weekend, like from Friday to Sunday. We had 8 days straight of recruits on our campus. So I was pretty tied down here to recruiting visits, but our assistant coaches were able to get out and around town and be able to reintroduce themselves. That's the other thing with this coaching staff. There's a lot of coaches on this staff that have had relationships with people for a long, long time. People have been here before. Coach Baxter is one of them, obviously. They're very well connected, was on Pat's staff for however many years, 13, 15 years or whatever. So very well connected here. And he mainly did, through the last couple weeks, he mainly did a lot of the legwork in town here to reconnect with the Valley coaches. And over time, through different things of coaching clinics and things like that, we'll make sure that we're able to reconnect with everyone. This year, I was here earlier last time. I got here while the season was still going on in 2017. Or whether it's 16 or 17, I can't remember. But it gave me time to do that. This time, the window of opportunity to do that was just so short that I had to stay here for all the people that were coming to on-campus visits.
This is the first time I had a chance to talk to you since your opening press conference. I just wanted to ask you about the coaching staff, especially like some of the guys you mentioned, the former Bulldogs, Jethro and Skipper and, John Baxter with ties to Fresno State. Was that a priority more so maybe than last time, even though I know you had a few guys with Fresno State ties, come in last time? Was it a priority, and what does that add, to this program, having those type of guys?
Yeah, I can't say going in that it was one of the things I looked at as a priority. All of these people I've worked with before, I know what they're all about, the expertise that they bring as coaches, but not just the expertise of X's and O's, and they've been in the NFL for 15, 17 years, been at big-time programs, so on and so forth. It just matched up where we were all available again. We've had relationships since back in whatever that was, 1997 maybe, when we were here working with Pat, and it just worked out that the stars aligned perfectly. But what's so great about this staff and about all the former Fresno State people, coaches, they have a tremendous amount of respect for this program. They have a burning desire to make this program successful. They take a lot of pride in it, and so it's been great. I mean, we all we all have known each other for so long. So there hasn't been a whole lot of, hey, we have to get to know you. We have to get to know you. It's there's a lot of history there. There's good fun. There's good laughter because of a lot of memories. But there's a lot of expertise on this staff that really care truly, deeply about this program.
We have time for one final question, if anybody has one. No, hold up, please.
Coach, one real quick. I don't know if you can talk about it, Coach, if you can't. Seth Scheit, I saw it. I don't know if that's something you can comment on if he's signed his national letter of intent yet. Can you?
No, I can't. He did not sign a national letter of intent, so I can't comment on him.
All right, we'll go ahead and end it there. Thanks, guys.
All right. Great seeing you all. Good job, Savannah. You didn't get to go to the Olympics, huh?
They sent Andrew for that.
I know, I saw him. I saw that.